get my hands on it instead of trying to figure out how to deck build and all that. So huge shout out to Khalil for the Jinx deck, and then for the Lee Sin deck, huge shout out to Lawa. I did try to pick decks that weren't just at the top of our tournament winners in different countries, because this is out in different countries, just not in America yet. All right, it's been a lot of explaining, so let's lock in. For the battlefields chosen, there is Zon Warrens, which is if you conquer here, discard one, then draw one. And then the Candlelit Sanctum, which is when you conquer here, look at the top 2 cards of your main deck. You may recycle one or both of them, and then put those you don't want back in any order. And then Reaver's Row, when you defend here, you may move a friendly unit here to base. And we will talk about the synergies of this deck in a second, or with these battlefields in a second, because that's there's three different synergies you want to run with these decks. Does it synergize with your legend or leader? Does your deck synergize with your leader? Does your deck synergize with your battlefield? Does your battlefield synergize with your leader? And yeah. So I'm actually super excited for this game to actually come out. The main deck runs 40 cards, and outside of the champion unit, and the champion unit is your legend unit, but this one you can actually play to the board. You only get one of these, and they start in your champion zone, or your champion unit zone, not in your deck. But this champion unit is Jinx, and her ability is Accelerate, which is you can pay one rune or one energy, and recycle the red rune as an additional cost to have her enter ready. Outside of that, all characters enter rested. And then Assault 2 is +2 might if she is an attacker. And then when you play me, discard 2. So might is up here to the top right. This is your power. Your for One Piece players or even Union Arena, this is BP or power. And this represents both your health and your attack. If you play like Magic the Gathering, this is essentially both your toughness and your power. Our next card are the Seals of Rage. Seals are sort of in every deck. I don't think it's in this deck actually, but we'll talk about that in a second. But they're 0 cost, and they require you to recycle 1 rune to get sort of a mana rock that you don't have to recycle. And we'll talk about recycling in the gameplay. Stack deck, this card's just straight up busted. It's a 1 cost. Look at the top 3 cards of your main deck, put 1 into your hand and recycle the rest. Running 3 of these runes as well. And then Gust, which is a reaction card, which is return a unit at a battlefield with 3 or less might to the owner's hand. And then we have Traveling Merchant. When I move, discard 1, then draw 1, which is a unit card. This is so here's the types. There's units, champions units, gear, and spells. Those are the main types. Gear cannot be sent to the battlefields, only units can. And then spells are sort of your instances and sorceries and event cards from One Piece or Union Arena. Our other character, which is another champion unit, which is Vi, and her effect is ganking, and then recycle 1 from your trash to give her +1 might this turn. Now I do have some questions. Like I said, this is my first time playing with this game. Because this does not say once per turn or anything, I wonder if you can just stack this up. If you can, that would kind of make this deck disgusting. So I do need to find out the ruling on that. I wasn't playing with that ruling, but I do wonder what this means, because this does not say once per turn. It just says recycle 1 from your trash and then give me 1 this turn. So if you can recycle more to give her more, might be a little busted. But our next spell is Ride the Wind. It's action, move a friendly unit and ready it. And then this other unit is Legion Rearguard. It has the accelerate effect, same as the Jinx, which is pay 1 energy or pay 1 rune, and then recycle 1 red rune to have them enter ready. The other thing is this is tap to add 1 rune. I don't know if you can use this as a recycled rune here. I do play with that because it is the same symbol. So if I am tapping this to add this, it would make sense that it adds here, but I don't know for sure. If anybody who does know about this game knows that ruling, let me know, because normally the ruling is if there's a symbol here, this is an extra recycle in addition to the cost of this card. Next we have the Mystic Poro, which has the vision effect, which is when you play me, look at the top card of your main deck and you may recycle it. For our other unit, we have the Chemtech Enforcer, which is Assault 2, same as the Jinx. When they are an attacker, they gain 2 might, and then when you play me, discard 1. And then Flame Chompers, this is when you discard me, you may pay a red rune to play me. And that is a unit card, which is, this card is crazy. We'll get to it in a second. Noxus Hopeful, which has the Legion effect. I cost 2 less if you get the effect if you've played another card this turn. So this is a 4 cost normally, but if you've played another cost this turn, or another card this turn, this goes down to a 2 cost. For our signature special, which I believe all decks, like deck or leaders, have this. It is the Super Mega Death Rocket, which, sorry, good lord, it's been a while since I did this. Deal 5 to a unit. I'm assuming that's 5 damage to their might. And then when you conquer, you may discard 1 to return this from your trash to your hand. So you can actually recycle this every time you conquer from your trash. And then Nocturne is our final unit for this deck. Also has the ganking effect. I didn't cover that, but the Vi has ganking as well. Ganking means that they can move from battlefield to battlefield. Normally, cards can only move from base to battlefield and then battlefield to base, unless they have this ganking effect. But the crazy thing about this card is when you look at cards from the top of your deck and don't draw them and see me, you may play me for any rune, any recycled rune. That rainbow rune is what that means. So this Poro, if you look at the top of your deck and he's here, recycle a rune, you can play him to your board. But also, this is also a look, but you look at the top 3. So I didn't do it in the game that I have to show you today, but when I was testing the hands out and I used this, I saw 2 of these Nocturnes, which just means recycle 2 runes, and I get to play them out. And then you can still put 1 in your hand. So I'll put 1 in my hand first, and then I recycle the rest, but there's nothing to recycle. So that look at top 3 just became play 2 and add 1 to hand. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. If that is the correct way to play it. I'm pretty sure that is, and I'm pretty sure that's busted. But yeah. Sideboard we won't worry about because I did not print these out for the sideboard. So we will not go into that. I believe that is it for this deck. So let's go over the Lee Sin deck. So Lee Sin is Blind Monk. He is a buff deck. The legend card is different from the Jinx. This one is sort of an activated ability. You play 1 rune energy and tap this card, to buff a friendly unit, which means if it doesn't have a buff, it gains +1, +1 buff. Now normally every card in the game can only have +1 might, the +1 buff as a might, which is important, the difference between buffing and just +1. The buff can, because the buff stays. So normally each unit in the game can only hold 1 buff unless the card says otherwise. The abilities we have, or the battlefields we have here, is when you hold here, play a 1 might recruit unit token to your base, and then the this one's called the Altar of Unity. So you can generate units to get in your base and then push them out, which is actually extremely important with this deck build. And then the first time you choose a friendly unit with a spell here, each turn draw 1 card. So that is what this deck does a lot, is these spells that you target your units with. And so you get some extra card draw on a stage like this. And then when you conquer here, you may spend a buff to draw 1 card. So you can give a card a buff with his ability, and then move that card here to conquer it, and then spend that buff to get a little bit more card draw, if that is what you roll. So for the main deck, our champion unit is this Lee Sin. It has shield, which means actually I should also say important. Yeah, this is an alt art. This is the base art that you'll see in the game, but it's the same effect, just a little bit more expensive. But this Lee Sin has the shield effect, which means it gains +1 as a defender, and then you can tap him and it says buff me, I get +1 buff, and then I can have any number of buffs. So he can stack buffs multiple times, which is important. And then we go into our spells. We have Defy, which is a reaction spell. It says counter a spell that costs no more than 4 and no more than a singular rune recycle, which is actually super important, especially in this matchup, because my big card is this 4-cost 1 rune recycle, super mega death rocket. So if they have this in hand, they just counter it out point blank. Even the little text here just says no. The other spell is On Guard. Give a friendly unit +1 might, not a buff, just +1 might this turn, then an additional +1 this turn if it is the only unit you control there. So this can, let's say we gave this Pit Rookie a buff with my main Lee Sin's effect. She can only hold that 1 buff, but the On Guard effect, these +1s that's not buffs, normally it's +1 for the turn. Like this one is +2 for the turn, so they can stack that up, but they cannot stack buffs, because they don't have the same text as him, where he can get any number of buffs. And then for another 1-cost spell, we have Charm, which is move an enemy unit for 1 cost and a recycled green rune. This one's also 1 cost and recycled green rune. For our 2-cost unit, we have the Pit Rookie. This is when you play me, buff another friendly unit, and that's the same as this buffing. You can only buff an unbuffed card. And then we have this 2-cost unit as well, Starwood Poro, and then it has the shield effect, same as this Lee Sin. You gain a +1 might while a defender. Discipline is another spell in the deck, is a reaction, and then give a unit +2 this turn, then draw 1. And, or it doesn't say then, it's 2 separate sentences. And then we have Challenge, which is a 2-cost and a orange recycle. Choose a friendly unit and an enemy unit, and they deal damage equal to their might to each other. So you can force a battle between your units and a enemy unit no matter where they are on the board. And normally that only happens if they're challenging the same battlefield. For our next unit, we have Clockwork Keeper. As you play me, you can pay a green recycled rune as an additional cost. If you do, draw 1 card. So just a cool 2/2 unit, and then with 2/2 with no recycle, and then you can add this recycle to draw 1 card if you want to. For our gear, we have Zonia's Hourglass, which has the effect of hidden, which is you can hide for a recycled rune, any rune, and react later with it for 0 cost. You still have to pay this original cost to play it, and then you just pay the rune to hide it. And then the next time a friendly unit would die, kill this instead, recall that unit exhausted, and recalling is send it to the base. This is not a move. So if your units die in any way, you can pop this and just have them respawn rested in your base. Then we have First Mate. When you play me, ready another unit. This is combo potential or combo feed for your other units in this deck, but probably not for these because they're a bit high in cost. But the easiest combo I saw is playing this a turn or before. Once it stands, you can tap himself to give him a buff, and then play him to ready him again, and then push him to a battlefield with that extra buff that he gave himself. Our other spell is Stand United, which also has the hidden effect where you can pay a rune to react later, but it is also an action card where you can buff a friendly unit, and then buffs gives an additional 1 or +1 to friendly units this turn, and then to buff a unit, give a buff to a unit that does not already have one. So this one is a buff effect, so you can't really stack this on any cards outside of this Lee Sin, and actually the set, which we'll get to in a second. But it also gives an extra +1, so your buffing with this will turn into +2 instead of +1, how it normally is. We have this, we're running one of this Kiana, I think that's how you pronounce her name, which has Deflect, which means opponents must pay recycled rune to choose her with the spell or ability, or with a spell or ability. And then she has the extra effect of when I conquer, draw 1 or channel 1 rune exhausted. So it helps you keep your rune economy up, so you're not just continuously recycling your runes and have nothing to play, or not enough actual, and I guess I'm gonna call this energy in these runes, not enough energy to play the rest. So we have this next unit, which is Carnivorous Snapvine. Is when you play me, choose an enemy unit at a battlefield. We deal damage equal to our mites to each other. So similar to this showdown, but this one is just a 6 mite creature. And this will be when he is played, so you actually don't get the chance to buff him. It will activate instantly. So it'll be 6 to anything, but 6 is a very powerful stat line in this game. And then our 5 cost 1 yellow rune set. I believe this is a standard. What does that alter? I thought this was the alter, but dang. When I'm played and when I conquer, buff me. If I do not have a buff, gained +1 as a buff. And then the second effect is spend my buff, give me +4 might this turn. So when you play him, he gains a charge, you can say. Then on the next turn where he's active, you can spend that charge to go up 4 might, and then use this Lee Sin's main effect to rebuff him, going up 5 might, and then sending him to attack a battlefield, going up to 9 might as an attacker. And then on the defensive turn, he'll go to 5 because he still has this Lee Sin's effect. He won't be able to use this spin my buff on the defense because this is not an action or a reaction, so he cannot add this to like the stack is what they call it, or the chain. Yeah, but then there's the sideboard, but I did not print out the sideboard, although it might have helped. Let me see this. Move an enemy unit, then choose another enemy unit. This one that designates they deal damage to. Yeah, this might have been crazy in this matchup, but let's hop into the games. So I use my iPhone here. I hope the quality is well enough, and I will try to keep up with everything that's going on. So I do play these battlefields out as random. I believe that's how you are supposed to do it. This one is the spend a buff, I believe, to spend a buff to draw a card, and then this one is the discard one, draw one. I start this game with Jinx going first. I did play 2 games, but I booted up another one to better show because I was missing some integral things that I hope I get here. So starting your turn, if you're going first, you gain 2 runes, and you start with 4 in hand. I did not show that, or I did have it on the table here. You start with 4 in hand, and you will see me walking back and forth from this table, by the way, because I did have to play by myself because my friends are dead. But you start with 4 in hand, and then draw for turn, channel 2. Like I said, the red ones are red runes, and then these white ones are purple runes for this game. And then also on this end, I'm using, you see it up here, I'm using my Don from the One Piece game. The artwork Dons are green runes, and the shiny regular Dons are the orange runes. So this is what I was talking about here. So I use one rune energy to play stack deck, which means I look at the top 3 and add 1 to hand. And then in that look of the top 3, I find a Nocturne. So I cheat out this Nocturne, recycling a rune, and playing him to my board. I'm pretty sure he still played as rested, but I do develop a 4/4 extremely early off that one card. And then if I had the the Mana Rock, I probably would have played that as well, just to keep my hand size low, because that's what you want with this Jinx deck, to keep your hand size lower so you can proc her effect and draw more from your deck. But you do want to use it is strategized so that you aren't discarding cards that you need, that you do have discard targets in the deck that you want in the trash. So I just play this out for curve, and then let me not skip over. So on this turn, it is I dropped 5. I have 3 runes to play because I'm going second, so I get 3 first, and then I go back to 2 every turn like the first player. So I play this out for 2, miss her effect unfortunately, because there's no other card to get the buff to, but I do have the 1 extra energy to use the Lee Sin effect, giving her a buff, turning her from a 2/2 to a 2/3. But now it's back to the Jinx turn. I channel and draw. And then this one is kind of unfortunate, and this is where I was talking about the use of the Mana Rocks. It takes me a minute here to figure out my plan, but I should be doing it sometime soon. Come on, Donovan. All right, yep, I tapped 2 for this Mystic Pearl, looking at the top card of my deck, deciding if I want to draw that because I'm going to push my Nocturne into the zone, conquering it. That will, 1, gain me a point, and then I will also get the effect to discard 1 and draw 1. So I'm playing this Pearl out first to see if that's the card that I want. If not, I could put it at the bottom of my deck. I actually forget if I put it at the bottom of my deck. I think I do put it at the bottom of my deck because right now I'm looking for the Vi cards. And so this Mana Rock is you discard or you recycle a rune, and recycling means you're putting it to the bottom of your deck. So that's where that tapped red rune went, and that's this cost here. I recycled that, putting it to the bottom of my rune deck. So now I've technically gone back in my energy development, which I think is a really cool thing. I know One Piece has like Don minus effects, but that's mostly for purple decks that mess with the Don like that. This seems to just be throughout the entire, it's just built into the game, of removing your own energy as a cost. But this Mana Rock sort of replaces it. So now you just have this on the board that you don't have to recycle. And then it does say, like I said, it says, so this is what I do here. Let me go back and show you all. This Mana Rock says reaction, tap to add the Fury rune, and this card says, oh, when you discard me, you may pay a Fury rune to play me. Now this normally means recycling, but I don't have the recycling available, like the actual rune to recycle. But because this is the same sign, I'm pretty sure that means I can use this for that effect. If not, I think that'll be just overly confusing if it's not how that works. But I do it that way because I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And how I got him in the discard is because I moved my Nocturne to here. So I have to discard 1, discarding him. Or I'm sorry, I have to play this first, and then discard 1, discarding the guy, and then using this to tap, generating that Fury rune that I needed to play him from my discard to my base. And cards are always played to your base as rested, unless they say otherwise, and then you have to move them to a board otherwise. And something else that I wasn't doing, when you move, you are actually supposed to rest your cards, but I wasn't doing that here, because each move counts as a sort of action of that card for the turn. So they have to be active to move. So I go back to the Lee Sin deck, and I go up to 5 energy for the turn, and I just play on my Lee Sin early, playing him to my my base, using all 5, and then recycling a green, and then I'm pretty sure I push up my little unit here. What is this called? The pit something here, to conquer that, gaining a point back for the Lee Sin deck. So now it's 1 point to 1 point. And then I use this to, I use her buff to have her go back down to 2, but also drawing a card because I'm looking for some extra defenses for before I start throwing my Lee Sin around. One more important thing about this game that's not like Magic. Magic is when your commander dies, you return them to the command zone and they cost 2 extra mana to play again. In this game, they just die. They go to your discard pile. Now, decks can get around that, and like this deck has the vibe that can recycle from my discard pile to the bottom of my deck. Although that means I have to get to the bottom of my deck to get back that card. And then Lee Sin has the Zonius, Zonius something, I forgot. Zonius Hourglass to save your characters from death. And so now the score is 2-1 in the Jinx's favor, because each time you I forget the word. It's conquering, and then God, what is it called? I'll just say it. Whenever you keep a card there at the start of your turn, you also gain a point. So it's now 2-1. Why am I forgetting the word that you're actually supposed to use for it? So I pay another 2 to play this Chemtech Enforcer. And then he has, when you play me, discard 1. Then I discard the other chompers I had in hand. And then I replay then I use this as the energy generation for the turn, and then I tap 2 more for the Vi, and then recycle the 1 rune for the Vi, rebuilding my base heavily for a strong swing next turn. And then now I'm debating on how I want to push to the battlefield, because I know that this Lee Sin will get big next turn. Excuse me. And so there is a debate to push both of these up to this line, and then actually both of them won't live, because you assign damage how you want to. So let's actually see what I do here. So I do only push up the 3 might card here, and then it'll be 2 against 3. I will live with 1 might left, and they will die. So if I had pushed up this Poro as well, they can actually just assign all 2 damage to the Poro, and then killing the Poro, ignoring this, knowing that he won't win against it anyways. So I actually did do the right thing here by leaving this Poro in my base for other plays later. Actually, I think okay. So I move it to the Zon battlefield to help my Nocturne stay alive, or hopefully help my Nocturne stay alive. I win the fight, and then I also gain a point for conquering here. So now it's 3-1. I was trying to keep track with my fingers. I don't know if y'all saw that. I should have picked up a better tracker somehow, because I think I lost the plot a couple times. So rewatching it back will let me know if I'm really keeping track correctly. So I tap him. So I tap himself to give himself a buff, so he goes up to 6, and then I tap 1 and my Legend Lee Sin to give him another buff, going up to 7, and then I pay 3 for the first mate, standing him up as active. So now he's a 7 might character as active. And then I tap. Oh no, I have to. What did I do? Okay, then I tap 2 and recycle to hide that Zonia's Hourglass, pushing my 7 up to here. And so this is how battles work outside of outside of a 1v1. Now it's currently my total might, or Jinx's total might, versus the Lee Sin's total might. And my total might is only 6-7. So actually this Lee Sin will live at 1 health. And then I'm pretty sure heals are done as soon as the battle is over. So he'll go back up to 7, because I have no mana up, so I have no way to really interact with him anyways. So he just wins this straight up, killing out both the Poro and the Nocturne. I really had half of a mind, and this is strategies for other times I play. I had a half of a mind to return the Nocturne to my base and play this Poro there, just to hold it, knowing that they only had this Lee Sin ready for next time, so he can only really go to 1 of these to conquer, and just protected my Nocturne by leaving him in my base. but wasn't thinking that far ahead, so they both end up dying here. And then this Lee Sin has conquered the Zon area. I forget to draw one discard, but they do gain a point, so now it should be 2-3. I start the Jinx turn, and I play out another Chemtech Enforcer to discard one, and then I play a card out for turn, so this Legion effect is active, so this costs 2 less, and then I still have 2 cost up, or 2, I'm gonna say mana up, anyways. So now, now I'm using the Vi effect to give her +1, returning 1 to the bottom of my deck, and then pushing up to this Lee Sin. So she'll be at 4, 6, 9 against 7. So the Lee Sin has to gain 3 to survive. And there, you can't see it here because my camera angle is terrible, but they were tapped out anyways. But I do have the Zoni's Hourglass. That's exactly what I planned it for, so I don't lose the Lee Sin. So he'll go back to my base. And now, because of the text on this Hourglass though, let's read it one last time. Let's go back here one last time. It says, recall that unit exhausted. I believe that means that you are recalling them from the grave. So I may be wrong about this. If anybody else has the correct play for that, I don't know if they mean recall it from the battlefield or recall it from the grave. I'm assuming they're meaning recall it from the grave, like you replayed it. And so I'm assuming he loses the buffs he had because he has technically just been played again. But I'm not sure about that. If anybody knows that full answer, please let me know in the comments. But with that being said, with that push up, it would have been, what was it? It was 2-3, and then I would have gained 1 for keeping, so 4, and then gained another, so it's now 2-5, and then first one to 8. Yeah, so I do keep track. Good job, Donovan. Good job, Donovan. So I ready everything up, and channel 2, draw 1. I play the Pit Recruit to give Lee Sin a buff, and then I use my Lee Sin main to give my Lee Sin a buff, pushing him back up to 7. And then I should just move this whole mat forward. I'll have to do that next time. And then I play Showdown, or I'm sorry, not Showdown, Challenge. Showdown is what it's called, a challenge. So I choose a friendly unit and an enemy unit, and then we deal damage equal to each other's mights. So I choose him against my Lee Sin, and so it'll be 7 against 3. And then, like I said, I'm pretty sure healing is done as soon as the battle is done. So I'm assuming he's back up to 7 now with his buff. So I play the second challenge I have in hand, going 7 into 3 once again because she only gained it for a turn, and that will kill her. So then I can push up my first mate to conquer that, gaining a point. He has no buff, so I don't draw. And then I push up this 7 against 5, and then I have nothing was in the Jinx hand to begin with. I make a mistake. It's not 3. It should be 4 or 5 here, because I just gained 2 points. So yeah, it should be 4 or 5 here. And then I'm doing the draw 1, discard 1, because I conquered Zon. But yeah, my Jinx hand was completely empty at that point, so there was nothing I could have done anyways. So I untap everything, and then a Jinx effect to draw a card, channel, and then draw for turn. Let's see, what did I draw into? Tap 2 for another Vi, recycle a rune. tap 4. I think this is when, okay, I tap 4 for the Nocturne. I guess it's not time to go for game yet. I push up my 4 to, oops. I guess that's the end of my turn. So I'm only setting up for game. So I play 4 for the Nocturne, or 2 for the Vi, recycle 1, 4 for the Nocturne, recycle 1, and then I push up my 4 against 3. They were completely tapped out, so I knew that that was safe. So I reconquer, going up 6 to 4. Remember that that's 4, not 3. Yeah, so it should be 6 to 4 currently. So yeah, so this is what I wasn't doing in the first game. So his effect is just tapping him at any time. I couldn't tap him after I moved him because he was supposed to be tapped. So remember that. But since he's just staying here now, I'm tapping him, giving him an extra buff. So he's now up to, he's now at 8 might, which is important for how he works in defending things solo. So he's now up to 8, and then I play out this Keon something, I forgot how to pronounce her name, to my base, setting her up for next turn, and then this should also be active. I think I fixed that in a second. Setting her up is active, and I'm pretty sure I make a mistake here. Okay, so I tap 1 and my leader to give him another buff, pushing him up to 9. And then I did gain a point for keeping, so I should be up to 5. I don't know why I didn't move her. What I should have done is move her here, because the only way to win and get your 8th point is you have to have conquered both battlefields or gain up to 8 on your refresh phase. So right now I'm gaining 1, going up to 7. But I leave up, I think, 4 energy on my field. Unfortunately, my hand was bad in the Lee Sin hand, so going up to 7 to 5 currently. But I should have moved this here to add to the Might's defense, making it harder for them to overcome it. Because he also has the shield ability, which means he gains +1 might on defending. So he is a 9 might card, but as defending he is actually 10 might. So I could have added this to push up this defense to 12, which is probably the better option. So I channel, and since I had no cards in hand, I will draw off the Jinx effect and then draw for turn. So now I have to think about my plays, and then I'm also, keep in mind, I'm trying to sim this as close to as playing against an opponent as possible. I know what's in the hand over there, but I'd play this out anyways because this would be my play without knowing what's in their hand. I tap 4, or I'm counting out my mana so I know I can do both of these effects. I tap 4 for the Super Mega Death Rocket, targeting the Lee Sin to do 5 damage. And then, of course, I gotta walk to the other side of the table and do the Defy, canceling out this card. So that does not go through. He is still at 10 might. But I do tap, I tap 3 for her effect. And then I tap this as a mana. And then recycle 2 runes, 1 for her base cost and then 1 for her accelerate, to play her as active. And now I have a board ready to go for game. This Vi, I will recycle 1 card, pushing her up to 4. This Nocturne is at 4, so that's 8, 10. And then he also has, when he's an attacker, he gains 2, so 12. And then she also has, when she's an attacker, she gains 2, so that is 6, so 18 going into 10. So moving this up would not have affected it that much, but unfortunately I just couldn't do anything. So 18 against the 10. There's nothing for them to play besides a Defy, which does not work, and that is the game. So yeah, GG's to myself there. But yeah, so that is Riftbound, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys were able to follow along and are excited as I am for this to come October 31st, I believe. The way this deck was built, it's just a bad matchup, really heavily favored in the Jinx's favor, because you develop so fast and start gaining points so fast that the Lee Sin has a lot to do. That's why I said this Dragon Rage was probably good, because I do move a lot of little bodies to battlefields. But actually this just says move an enemy unit, so it doesn't even have to be at a battlefield. This can be at my base, and they can pull it out of my base to battle each other by their might. So this is probably a huge tech card against a deck like mine. Choose a non-unit card. Their reaction: prevent all spell and ability damage this turn. This probably isn't bad either. But yeah, that is the deck. Let me look at her sideboard as well. There's this Jinx card. I guess this is to replace the other one. Are these the same? Oh, so there's different champion units. So this is a different Jinx. When you discard one or more cards, ready me and give me +1 this turn. Oh, this is a way better Jinx. Hold on. What? Oh, she has 5 cost though. It's expensive. It's expensive. Okay, understand why she's not in there. All right, Iron Ballista Gear. This enters exhausted and then tap to deal 2 damage to a unit on the battlefield. That's actually probably mighty crazy against this Lee Sin deck with cards that get really high in might. Rebuke. Return a unit at a battlefield to the owner's hand. Okay. And then Falling Star. Do this twice, deal 3 to a unit. You can choose different units. Those aren't bad, but it is very expensive in the rune department with 2 recycled runes, especially this one, because I don't have mana rocks for purple. But it's not a bad card. There is one like that in this deck. Yeah, Gust is return a unit at a battlefield with 3 or less to its owner's hand. I'm really just rambling at this point, but this is actually way better than you might think it is, because you can actually protect your units with this. This does not say enemy units, so your Vi, your Traveling Merchant, any of these 3 or less, you can return to your hand if you feel like you want to keep them on your board or replay them next turn. And you can also do that against an enemy. So pretty cool tech card in this one. But like I said, I'm just rambling. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all followed along. I know this isn't my normal content. I know I got a lot of Union Arena fans at the channel now, but I hope that this is good for now. I will try to get back on the sim. It just hasn't been working for me for some reason. But that is going to be it for today's episode. I will see you all in the